So what did you guys get when you plugged in negative 30?
9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, 9.
Perfect. Okay.
Oh, what was that?
Austin.
Usually, that bounces in and out of it.
What are the P today?
It's really Carly's
We're
fault.
focusing.
I'm sorry.
Focus.
I'm having a rough day.
We do a flips ball.
Okay, so your graph should look like this.
Oh my goodness, I tried to tell you something. I was gonna tell you more. I was so excited to tell you, but I couldn't.
Okay. Good? Yes?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, so the next two lessons are all about like graphing the quadratic stuff. So your objective today is students will be able to graph quadratic functions of the form y equals ax squared and y equals ax squared plus c. So the b is going to be non-existent today because all of the graphs that don't have the b are always going to be centered on the y-axis, just like somewhere on the y-axis. And then as soon as you add the b in and have the whole thing, all three terms, that's when your graph can move anywhere. So that's going to be a whole lesson to learn like where to find where it is and stuff. Okay, properties of quadratic functions. The shape of a quadratic function is called a, anyone remember what the shape is? Starts with a P.
Polynomial. No. Parallel.
Parabola.
I wasn't even close.
The parent quadratic function is y equals x squared, which is what you guys just graphed. That's like the most basic of the function that you can have. Standard form of a quadratic function, this will look familiar, is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. The highest or lowest point is the, anyone know that one? Whatever this point would be?
Minimum.
Yes, it is a minimum, but what is it called no matter what it is? If it's a minimum or a maximum, it's called the, starts with a V?
Velocity.
Vertex, yes.
You got it? Oh my god.
Mhm.
You're a rock star.
Okay, and then a quadratic function has an axis of symmetry. That runs vertically through the vertex. So basically, you can split your parabola in half vertically, and it's going to be the mirror image on each side. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at is just the coordinates of the vertex and if it's a maximum or a minimum. So this one, what would the coordinates of the vertex be?
0, -2.
Mm-mm. 0, comma, this is 0, 0 right here. 0, 3, yep. And is that going to be a maximum or a minimum?
Maximum.
Maximum, because that's the highest point, yep. Okay, what about this one? What would the coordinates of the vertex on this one be? Yep, 1, -1. And is it a maximum or a minimum?
Minimum.
Yep. And go ahead and do the next one real quick.
Not everything's easy.
Sorry.
Okay, so what are the coordinates of the vertex here? Yep, -2, -3, and is it a maximum or a minimum?
Minimum.
Yep. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so like I kind of mentioned before, the ones that we're going to graph today are only going to be the ones that don't have a B. So b would be 0 because the vertex is always going to be somewhere on the y-axis. Okay. If it's in this form, just ax squared, your vertex is always going to be at 0, 0, if you just kind of want to remember that. But either way, we picked these numbers to kind of accommodate the fact that you have to divide by 3 after you square it so that you'll get whole numbers for your answers. But what would you get if you plug in 0 for x? So what's 0 squared? 0, and then what's a third of 0? 0, yep. Okay, now let's plug in 3. What's 3 squared? 9, and then a third of that? 3. And then 6 squared? 36, and then a third of 36? 12, and then these are just going to be the same values, like mirror image. Okay, so plot those points.
Oh my gosh, the graphs are so small.
I know, because I had 12, I had to go past 10.
I need glasses.
I don't think glasses will be real.
Yeah,
I have glasses. I can't.
I know, but if you have 20 vision plus glasses, like,
Rio. That's not the point.
No, I have glasses.
You have glasses?
Yeah, I lied to my eye doctor because I wear glasses.
Did you?
Yes, I actually did.
Wait, do you ever wear that? No, I said I faked.
Wait,
I
how'd
faked
you
that
lie?
I couldn't.
Okay, so this is what your graph should look like.
It's like a few glasses.
Okay, then it also asks for domain and range. So let's do a little review of that.
Don't swim on that.
Guys, so do you remember what domain is?
No.
Like what variable?
Yeah.
X, yep. So domain is all of the x values. So if you look at your graph, what it's doing to the left and what it's doing to the right. So see how like this graph can go forever to the left and forever to the right?
Yeah.
So that's always going to be the case. So your domain is going to be all real numbers. And it's pretty much always going to be. The only time that's going to change is when the parabola shifts onto its side, and that won't happen until algebra 3, 4. The abbreviation for all real numbers is an R with like a double line. So if you want to just use that symbol, that means all real numbers. And if you wanted to do interval notation, that would basically be negative infinity to infinity. That's just like the symbol in math that represents all real numbers. It's like, yeah, it's like a double line, kind of. No, it's like make a double line and then make your R.
oh, like on text, it always has that thing right.
Okay, and then range is all of your y values that are possible. So if we look, this is where we're going to have restrictions because we have a highest point or a lowest point. So here, do we have a minimum or maximum?
0.
Minimum.
A minimum of 0. So the way that we write that is y is greater than or equal to 0 because your graph starts at 0 and is above it. If you wanted to do interval notation instead of an inequality, the way you would write that is bracket 0, infinity, parenthesis. One or the other. You don't need both. Okay, you guys try the next one. Don't forget to square the number before you multiply.
Did you get negative 3?
Mhm.
How did you get positive 3?
That's negative. They're both negative.
That's what I thought.
Oh.
No, that's what I thought.
Oh, I just
Oh,
wait. Wait, can I say something? Can you stop moving?
I haven't graphed it yet.
Okay, well, can you do that, please?
Yeah, in a second.
I'm sorry.
Is the infinity sign confusing?
You don't have to do those if you can do the inequality instead.
What is the domain?
I don't know how to do that.
It's always going to be all real
It's
numbers
all
for
real
these.
numbers because it goes on forever.
Left to right forever for all of them. So it's always all real numbers for these.
So you see the arc sign?
Yeah.
And the range is y.
Y, and then either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, and then whatever the highest or lowest number is.
Sassy, I don't even remember how to like find the numbers.
You are
Just plug them in for x.
Huh?
Just plug it in for x.
No.
Nothing, Scott.
This one is
Rico.
Rico, that's my name. I kind of like it, but
Let's look at all our
No, I
tags.
don't.
and I hate that photo.
I wish we could have our phones out during work.
Wait, did I come to this?
Like,
I don't know.
Was that one?
Allison, are there times when there's like
All right, guys, what did you get when you plugged in 2?
Negative 12, negative 3, 0, negative 12, negative 3.
Dylan, show me the next.
Okay, guys. Okay, so you should get this graph.
Domain is all real numbers.
Mhm.
And range is y.
The one going like this.
Yes. This way.
Yeah.
Okay, range.
It's like this. No, it's this way.
Y is, it should be y is less than or equal to 0.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Because your highest point is 0 and then it goes below that.
Do you have to write minimum?
No, not unless it asks for
So
if
if it's
it's
the minimum, it's going this way. And if it's the
greater than,
maximum,
yeah.
it's going this way.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to relate these to if we add a c onto the end. Okay. So if I have just 2x squared, and I plug in 0, what's 0 squared?
0.
0 times 2?
0.
0. Okay, 1, what's 1 squared?
1.
Times 2?
2.
Okay, 2 squared
4.
times 2?
8.
Okay.
Will it always be 0?
For today's lesson, and then once you add a b, then no. Oh, okay. So let's graph that one first.
Do you have to do it? Is it 2 different lines?
Yes. Okay, so there's our first graph. Our second function has us add 3 onto the end, which is just going to increase all these values by 3. So you'll have 11, 5, 3, 5, 11. So plot those now. Okay, so what happened to our graph? Still stayed centered on the y-axis, but how did it move? Shifted up how many?
Wait, would you do 1 and 5 or 2 and 5?
1 and 5. Yeah, so these are 2 different y columns. So how many did it shift up? Because of the plus 3.
I'm actually a little.
So adding the 3 afterwards just moved the y values up by 3, so your graph went up on the y-axis 3.
Do we have to write the name?
Okay, you guys try the next one.
Sorry. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. What?
Are you guys done? Almost.
So I'm doing this Saturday. Tomorrow.
Some of it is like,
That's opening.
I just hate all of it.
Well, at least you're getting money.
I just,
I don't expect you to enjoy it.
I thought it was gonna be that bad. It's fine the first 2 minutes. It's not, this week's higher. Cause every time.
The people are mean or your workers are mean? Huh? They're all emo. Or wrong.
I hope there was one. Oh, that one. There.
Bro, everyone, it looks like everyone quits like super fast.
Everyone puts their best. I would probably last till the end of summer.
Huh?
I would probably last till the end of summer.
I'm gonna do it all. I'm like, I already scheduled like how I would work during the fall.
Jeez. I don't. I can't. Do you have an app that I can borrow?
I need to.
Not borrow, but.
I have to pay car insurance.
Are you guys done with this?
Yes.
Dude, my dad said I want to
Take me to grab-
I have
grab
to pay the car insurance on it, which is a couple hundred.
Rio.
bucks.
What?
What are you
In the bottom drawer right here.
Oh.
Miss Etchie, how much is your car insurance?
That is
You
not-
should not
yeah,
ask
you
someone
can't
that
ask
question.
A month?
Huh?
The bottom one.
Oh,
A month?
Yeah,
I think like 120 something.
120. What car is it?
Well, that was for my old car. I just got a new car. I'm not switched over the insurance yet.
How much do you think it will be?
It's a little more though for the new car.
Like a little more? Or
Yeah, I don't know how much a month because it was by 6 months. Okay, ready?
Yes.
So the x squared one, you guys graphed in the warm up. So you should have 9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, 9. Okay, so this is the parent function. Okay, and then we did -3, so what that should have done is reduced all of your numbers by 3. So, this will be 6, this will be 1, this will be -2, -3, and then back up the same way. Okay, so your graph looks like this. All right, so how did your graph move and change?
It shifted down 3 units.
Yep. So subtracting something, as you see, moves your graph down, but still stays on the y-axis. Good? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, what?
Hi. All right. All right, so now more properties of these. So if the A value is positive, your graph will open up. And if the A value is negative, your graph will open down. Which one's the A value? What's the A in front of?
The X. Wait, no. Squared.
The x squared. Yep. So if you look at your examples right here, see how the A is 1/3, positive 1/3, and our graph opened up. And here our A was -3, so your graph opened down. Okay.
Okay.
The absolute value of A determines the width of your graph. The reason why it's absolute value is because the only thing the negative sign does, that doesn't make it a lower number. The negative just flips your graph upside down, but it doesn't affect the width at all. Okay? So the way it works is the smaller the A is, the wider your graph is going to be. And the bigger your A value is, the narrower your graph is going to be. The way I kind of remember this is I remember these A values as heights. So the taller you are, so like the bigger the number for your height. Think about it as like you get really tall and you kind of like get really skinny as you get stretched up in the air, right? And then the smaller the number means you're shorter, so you get compressed down and you get wider. Okay? Just think about that in your head, and then you'll remember. And remember, it's absolute value. So the negatives don't matter as far as deciding what's bigger and what's smaller. So for these ones, for example, what's the A value for this? -4. We're going to treat this as just a 4, though, whenever we're determining width, because a +4 and a -4 have the same width. The negative's just upside down. Okay? What's the A value for this one? 1/4. And what about this one? 1. So it wants us to order it from widest to narrowest. So remember, wider means shorter, so a lower number. So the lowest number here is what? 1/4. Yep. So the widest graph is going to be f of x equals 1/4 x squared. What would the next widest graph be?
1.
So f of x equals x squared. And then the 4, f of x equals -4x squared. It's going to be the narrowest. Okay, you guys do that one.
What? No. Oh wait, yes I do. Yes I do.
E.
Kurt, what are you doing this weekend? You wanna come over? Come with my mom so we can be in my mom's house and we can go in the hot tub. I haven't been in the hot tub in like 2 years. It's just sitting there.
Are you guys done with this?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so what is going to be the widest graph?
-1.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Which one's going to be the widest graph, guys?
Yeah. Negative x.
Mm-mm.
17, 3
Negative
x.
1/3.
Negative 1/3. Yep.
Then I was wrong.
Wait, I thought -1 because that's the smallest.
But remember, the negative doesn't matter. You're only looking at the value.
Just, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just the value, not
Yep.
just negative.
Yep, so that's the value of it. And then the 1 would be after that. And then the 3.
Got it.
Yep, all the negative does is just flip it upside down. But it's going to keep the width the same.
Wait, I'm kind of confused. So I got that totally wrong. I put it in, I put it in, I don't know. Not really though.
Why did they come to it?
Do you have a question?
They're probably angry because I didn't give them much.
No, I got it.
All right, I need you guys to do this lesson check, please. Quickly, and then move on to Math Excel.
I know I used
Forgot to do
that
two.
forgetting class to wash my hands, but now can I go because I actually need to use it?
Yeah.
Allison, give me a freaking second to finish this, and I will tell you. Leo, shut up. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Perfect.
Awesome sauce.
Wait, do you write the domain?
No, not unless that's for it.
Okay.
Bless you.
Wait. What's the time?
You got a new farm setting?
Yeah.
The last one giving you so many problems.
Kind of, yeah. You did a new AC.
What car did you get?
G.
A Jeep?
Wow.
You seem like a Jeep person.
So my mitt, it like absorbed everything.
Put it on a glove. These are the two covers that you put on the latex glove instead. No. Because it doesn't suck it all up. Guys, what are you doing?
Oh my
I can
gosh.
bring you a latex glove.
Alert when you're wearing the short sleeve jerseys. Look at that. So cute.
I won't say we begin anyway, because I'm not gonna
I really super don't want to make that.
I really don't want to go to pee.
I really super don't want to go to bed.
Super duper. Oh my gosh. Kurt, it's really cute guys. Seems gay. I don't want to get not
Take a look at everybody.
I wish. I don't know. Here's his location on so I can't check. Kurt, you're making me mad. Kurt. It's literally on the table. How? What? What pose?
Drop it. Should be on the small drop.
You know who's on our team in football? Ava and John.
Who group? Guys, are you guys clear that this is recording you?
Is it really?
Oh!
Sorry, Jorma.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did not mean that.
Why do you think I keep making these faces to you guys all hour?
So edgy, they're so mean though, they should know.
Okay, well.
Ava would treat it so
Alright,
bad.
focus. I'm putting these up.
This is the one who's friends
Dude.
with
Friends with Sarah. He's a Jake. I'll play something.
Oh, dude, I'm trying to do something right now. Okay, so this is what your graph on the first one should look like. And then the second one. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, I have two.
Same.
No. Only on the one that had two different equations.
Yeah, Kurt, what the heck?
Alright, and then that's what that one should look like.